Hey, one more thing before you go. What would you do if you were sitting on an airplane waiting for the flight to take off and someone who wasn't there was knocking over your champagne glass only to bring the flight attendant back repeatedly so that you could deliver a message from the other side? Would you ever guess that an international recognized TV host is also an empath psychic who receives those kind of messages from the recently deceased? She passes them on to loved ones so that they could get closure. We're going to enlighten you when we have a conversation with Kellie Olver and hear how she learned she has the ability to communicate with the other side and how she deals with those messages. I'm your host, Michael Hurst, and this is That Thing About Hold My Champagne. I have a message for you. My guest in this episode is Kellie Olver. She's an internationally recognized TV host who is now teaching women all over the world to be a more confident, beautiful, younger version of themselves. She's also an empath and a psychic. She receives messages from recently deceased to pass on to loved ones. It's a unique gift that she likes to share. Her gift presents itself in the most unusual places, on a plane, in a hardware store, and of course, at funerals. Today, we are going to have a conversation with Kellie about her journey to discovering and accepting these unique gifts and how they can help people, in many cases, get closure to be able to move forward in life. Kellie and I are hoping to inspire and motivate you to open your eyes, your ears, and your heart to the magic of what else exists on the other side. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Listening to your words, it just gave me, I call it God bumps, all over my body, top to bottom, and made me so proud just to hear you speak like this and how important it is to be able to share this message to your followers and, of course, the world. So thank you for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this conversation. As I've said many times, I think that, individuals that have a gift like yours, that allow it to grow and allow it to nurture and not shut the door on it so that it can help people get closure from the other side, because we're all seeking closure, especially when we lose somebody. Mm-hmm. You lose somebody instantaneously or through disease, or anything along that line. Sometimes we don't always get the closure that we want.
Or tragedy. I was sharing with you a story a little bit earlier on at the first time that I ever experienced my gift. It happened I was working in Toronto at the shopping channel, and I'd become very, very close to the CEO's daughter. Her name was Rachel. She was just a doll, just a dream. We had lots of conversations. I became her mentor. She was like 17 years old. Long story short, it was a long May weekend up in Toronto, Canada. And all the high schoolers who had graduated had a great big bonfire out in the country, in the woods. And it just so happened that on their way home, there was a major collision on the road and everyone died. The cars burst into flames and not one child was rescued. I went to the funeral and it was just horrible. The CEO of the company, Simon, and his wife, Rachel, were just weeping and weeping. And it breaks my heart just to tell this story right now because they were just devastated at the loss of their daughter. She was a bright light. And I remember just sitting in the back of the funeral home, and all of a sudden I hear this voice. And this voice said, "Oh my gosh, Kellie, you're here. You actually came." And it was just so natural for me to say, "Well, yeah, Rachel, of course I came. Why wouldn't I be here?" And she said, "But you can hear me. You're talking to me right now." And I went, "Yeah." She said, "Please do me a favor. Just tell my parents that I am okay. Promise me that you will tell my parents that I am okay." And unfortunately, at that time, I didn't trust this gift. And I never did tell Simon and Rachel about their daughter. And I am tempted to tell them now, because even now, even though it's been a long time, I think it will still give them a deeper sense of peace. So that's pretty much my first experience with knowing that I had a gift, with people coming to me from the other side who were in total distress that needed assistance. And I'm really glad that I could have been there for her. I think it would have eased her passing, or moving on from earthly plane.
Yeah, I think that is very profound when something like that happens, and that you realize, or you're connected with the other side in an effort to help somebody kind of move forward and to close that chapter in their life. I don't know how long ago that had taken place, but I can tell you from other conversations that I've had with other individuals with your gift, the time moved differently on the other side than it does here. But yeah, I think that personally, if I was in their position, I would want to hear something like that from someone.
You know what? I want to thank you for saying that, because I wasn't sure if it would bring up wounds from the past. This happened in 1993, so it was a long time ago, but almost 20 years now. And I didn't know if it would bring up old wounds or make them feel sad again. So I really had to struggle with what I was going to do with this information. But what I can sit really confident with and know that for my first time of being able to assist with people who are passing over, that I did what Rachel needed. I helped Rachel, and that's really most important. And I also made a promise to myself after that first time. I said, if this should ever happen again, no matter where I am, no matter what in the world I'm doing, I'm going to honor this gift, and I'm going to help the person that has passed on.
And that's a good thing. I mean, you bring a very good thing to people in life. Is one more thing before you go. It's all about being able to say what you didn't get to say sometimes before you lost somebody. And, in regard to getting that opportunity to say something, or to get the closure that we need, the peace of mind, because when you lose somebody, we as human beings don't always know that the person on the other side is doing well, or whether or not there is another side.
Can I share another story with you right now?
Absolutely.
You talk about someone wanting more closure. So I'm going to share a story about my mom. So I'm going to sit up here a little bit more. My mom and I were never close, which saddened me. And back in 2013, my mother had a massive stroke, and she was in the hospital, and they had pulled out all of the plugs and the cables, and she was truly on death's door. So I'll never forget this one too. As I was doing my morning run in Laguna Beach, I get my mother coming to me, and I can see her in my mind's eye, just, oh my gosh. And I look at my mom in my mind's eye. I don't see her in the physical form. I see these people in my mind's eye, and I hear them through the hearing in through my mind, and they're solid conversations. And I looked at my mom, and she was this radiant, glowing, ethereal being. And I was shocked, because that was not the mother that I had. My mother had a lot of emotional problems. She was self-medicating because of her childhood, which was very, very tragic and very sorrowful. And she didn't have the strength in this lifetime to be able to even go out and get help, to be able to move through the traumas that she had went through. So she lived her entire life with pain from her childhood. So here's my mother now coming to me in my mind's eye, and she's this radiant, ethereal, super being, this powerful, grounded, confident, just all knowing and all being grace and peace. And I just looked at her, and I started crying as I was walking, and I said to her, Mom, why couldn't you be like this with me? This is the mother that I wanted. Why couldn't you be like this with me? And I was crying, like I'm going to cry right now. Oh boy, I'm reliving this experience. I'm so sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about. This is life, and what affects us in life also affects us in death. And what we share in the emotion that we bring about is okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay. But from this, the tears that I'm experiencing now is what I was sharing with my mother, which I was never able to do with her either. But what she said to me was so powerful. She said to me, Kellie, I wanted to show you who I really was, who I really am. This is me. This is the mother that you had. This is who I really am. And I said, but why couldn't you be like that? That's what I needed. Why couldn't you be like that with me? Because you're so beautiful. You're so godly. And she said to me, it wasn't meant to be. She said, but I didn't want to leave this earth until I showed you who I really am, because I wanted you to be proud of me.
Yeah, that's an amazing opportunity for you both to get closure.
Me too. Both of us to get closure. I'm sorry. I'm gonna. It just I'm very moved every time I share this story, because it is so powerful, and it's like a clearing and a closure for both my mother, because she couldn't be the mom to me, and for me, because I couldn't be. She wasn't the mom for me, and it gave me strength. And it gave me an understanding of her life. And I walk around today, not with perhaps anger and sorrow towards my mom, but with love and nothing but gratitude and nothing but appreciation for my mother and the soul who came down. She obviously had a mission to do. She chose to be my mom so that I could get the lessons that I needed in order for myself to be the person that I am supposed to be today, and to help the people around the world that I am supposed to help. So I'm very grateful to my mom for this, for coming back and sharing and talking to me.
You know, that is profound that you were able to come to that understanding, because a lot of people aren't, or don't have the opportunity to come to that kind of an understanding. Some of us grow up in a dysfunctional family. I did. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. Both my parents were alcoholics, and I lost my father when I was 17 years old. And, I was angry for that for a really, really long time. I came to grips and understanding of it. We won't say how long later, because then I give away my age. We'll just say a while ago, it took me a really long time to come to grips with it and understand the reasoning behind it. But in reality, what an amazing journey that was for you to get an opportunity for that.
I feel very lucky. I feel very blessed for that. But I also believe that is who I am. And I do have a mission, and I do have a journey in this lifetime to make a difference. And without the experiences that I've had in my life, and my ability to, it gives me the ability to truly empathize, having gone through many things, so that I can relate to people. And the fact that I've overcome most obstacles that have come my way, I have the knowledge to be able to help people to overcome many situations in their life as well.
Yeah, and it's your life journey. You've had an amazing life. I mean, from what you've been able to do, and when I give your intro, what you've been able to do to help other people in many areas of their life. You grew up in Canada, right?
I grew up born in Canada, but I grew up in Southern California, in Los Angeles, West LA, Orange County, Laguna, Newport Beach area. So that's where I went through school. College, university, I was in Southern California. And then I had an opportunity to go work with a cousin of mine on a television show up in Toronto, which was a 3-month job. And I ended up staying 20 years in Toronto, which took me into my shopping channel experience, which is being on TV and selling products to many people in Canada and then in Florida in the United States, which was also an opportunity for me. When I'm being on TV selling product, I would motivate people. I would talk to them about my experiences, not so much with the other side at that point, but I would give words of wisdom and talk to people, talk about bulimia and nutrition, and talk about just taking care of yourself in mind, body, spirit. And I truly believe that just by me, okay, so truth, what I believe to be true is that your voice, which is a vibration, and vibration is sound, and we're all vibrations. My voice is a healing voice, and I truly believe just by people hearing my words, that sound goes into their body and it starts transforming them from the inside. Believe what you want, but awakening the parts of your DNA that have forgotten things that they have known for a millennium, forgotten things from their past, forgotten gifts and blessings that they have. And that is something that I'm most grateful about. And I've had many people reach out to me with letters and on TV and through email, thanking me for just helping them on their life's journey. So.
And that, I mean, that's still an amazing journey, because not only did you sell products, you created your own empire for beauty products and a message for young women and women of all ages across the world, basically, right? About self-esteem and to empower themselves and to move forward. How did you get involved in that? What'd you go to university for?
All right. Oh, I'm going to have to scratch my nose here. So hold on. I don't know. I always get an itchy nose. Here we go.
That means somebody's thinking about you.
Does it mean money?
Or I think left hand itchy is supposed to be money. I'm still trying to get my left hand to itch.
I know. Okay, give me your hand. I'll itch it for you. How's
Thank
that?
you.
Okay. You're welcome. Well, so let me tell you a little bit about my journey that got me into beauty being my specialty. So I was brought up. Okay. This is a place that we tell the truth, right? We don't hold back on anything. Is this right?
Open and honest conversation about life and everything in between.
Okay.
Life, death, and everything in between.
All right. Okay. So the woman that you see here today is not who it used to be. So I was born in a family that they were obsessed with weight. My mom and dad had this thing about being thin and being skinny. And so what happened is it created an eating disorder for my sister and I. So I ended up weighing 200 pounds. At one point when I was 17 years old, I was told that I was chubby and let's just not so attractive, and that no one would ever love me, and that really I would end up in the gutter. And those are harsh words when I'm going to say it. But let's move on, because it's not the words that you're given. It's what you do with the words. It's what you do with the situation. So this is one of the first times what happened is a voice came to me, and I heard this voice. This one was not in my mind's eye. I heard a voice in my ear, so much so that I looked around to see who was talking to me, and no one was there. And the voice said to me, if you stay one more day in my family, you're going to die. You will die. So I ignored the voice because I'm thinking, that's crazy talk. There's nobody here. And then the voice came again, but louder. If you stay one more day, you're going to die, and you're dying already. Well, that time I paid attention. I ran away from home, put myself through school. But during this journey, I still struggled with extreme low self-esteem. I had a huge eating disorder. I didn't know how to eat. My weight was fluctuating up and down and up and down and up and down. And that was pretty much my journey. So at the end of the day, I decided that I would get help. I reached out, got a lot of support. And with that, a lot of emotional support. I went to a lot of counseling for self-esteem and just loving myself again, learning how to find myself, love myself, learning how to feel, just learning how to feel, because to survive, I shut down all of my emotions. I was sort of like a little ice person, an ice princess. So that is really, once I was able to do all of this, it was my passion and mission to make a difference in women's lives, when young girls, from young girls to women in their 60s, like I am, just no matter what age you are, to be the best is the best that you can be, to love yourself no matter what, feel good about yourself, and provide techniques and tools, so when you're having a rough spot, to be able to move beyond that. And along with that, I developed a skincare line and a collagen line. And these skincare products are, I would say, they are esthetician grade. They are packed full with the highest concentrations of actives that you can find, that literally erase the visible signs of aging from your face, as well as your skin, as well as the skin on your body. And the collagen works from the inside out to replenish collagen from the inside to tighten and lift your skin, because I believe that what's wrong with looking your best? What's wrong with always being a younger version of yourself and letting your physical appearance and your zest for life and your energy levels that you might have on the inside also be a reflection on the outside, and vice versa? So does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. I mean, we all want to be able to look younger. We all want to be able to feel better about ourselves. Better. We all, we don't want to listen to the rhetoric that's always floating around behind the scenes in the commercials, television commercials, TV shows, and everything else, because it will do negative
things.
Yeah, it's detrimental to our health and well-being.
Yeah, there's so much comparison that's going on out there, especially in the beauty world, and especially with online, on social media. It can be quite nasty. And if you're always comparing yourself to people, you don't know what's going on in their life. And there's a lot of fake stuff that's going on social media, but it can be a slippery slope. And if you buy into that, rather than buying into how amazing you are amazing. We are born perfect, purely perfect. And our subconscious mind, by the time we're 6 years old, our subconscious mind is 95% of all of our conscious activities is based on subconscious thought, which is typically learned from other people, other people's opinions and other people's words. And so we buy into their programming, and then we judge ourselves by what somebody else thinks about us. The key, in my opinion, is to go in and to work on the subconscious level. Okay. Right. Many ways to do that, but okay.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. With that, I think that you created an environment not only within yourself, you did that outside of that. Do you think that may have opened up the door for you to be able to access the gifts that you have? Do you think that maybe that took you to the next level for an understanding of humanity, compassion, and understanding from that perspective?
I think so. It's beautiful how you said that. I remember when I was a little girl, though, I would see demons. Which is a whole other story. So I think I've always had this gift, and I forgot about it until I went through my process, until I grew up and got to that place where I had really done a lot of work on myself. That is truly one of my natural blessings. That is what I was born with, and it was able to awaken through peeling back the layers of all the emotional and psychological work that I have done, plus, of course, nutrition and moving your body. This is the way to be in running at 12. I like to say, when everything is in balance, mind, body, skin, mind, body, soul, you are running at 12 cylinders, peak performance, and then everything just blossoms. So including listening to people who have messages. I am a receptor. Energetically, I'm very aware and have worked with a lot of natural healers. I've done a lot of, for years and years and years, 20 years in Toronto, I was working with homeopaths and naturopaths and radionics, and you name it, I've done it. That is really what opened the door to allow people from the other side to be aware that I am a receptor. I'm like an antenna, and that they could come to me and speak to me. Would you like to hear another story?
Absolutely.
About being on a plane?
Absolutely. Planes, trains, and automobiles. That's where we should all go to, right? Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh, my goodness. This one is a doozy. So I was flying out to San Francisco, and I'll try to make this quick, but there is a story here. Long story short, flying up to San Francisco, and I thought, I had a ticket and it was for economy. I thought, maybe I want to fly business class. Maybe I can upgrade. No, I don't want to spend the money. I'm not going to upgrade. I'm fine with economy. No, so anyway, so what is at the front desk, they put me in business class. Okay, they just bumped me up. Bing, right there. So I'm sitting on the plane, and I'm having once we started, when we had just got on the plane, one of the flight attendants walked by me, and I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me, do I know you? I've never met you before, but somehow you look really familiar to me." And she went, "No, no." And she goes, "Well, maybe on another flight." I go, "Well, maybe." Anyway, so now we're up in the air, and I'm sitting on an aisle, and there's two people on the other side of me, and I have a glass of bubbly on my little tabletop. So I'm drinking my little glass of bubbly, and then I put the bubbly down, and the glass knocks over. It just did that. So I called the flight attendant, and it's the same flight attendant who I asked if I knew. I said, "I'm so sorry, this just fell over. Would you mind bringing me another glass of champagne?" And she said, "No, not at all." And I said, "Okay." So she comes back and she puts a glass of champagne down on my little table, and she walks away, and everybody's laughing. I'm laughing to the people next to me, and I put the glass down again on my little tabletop. And the two people next to me saw this. I saw this. One of the flight attendants saw this. The glass picked itself up like this and knocked over.
That'd be kind of bizarre, especially on an airplane. To wonder.
And so you should have seen the look on the people next to me. They're like, I go, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?" And they're looking like this. So they're kind of freaking out too. So I'm like, and I don't know what to do. And then the flight attendant comes walking back at me. And I just thought, "Kelly, you made that promise to yourself. If this ever happened again, okay, every time it happens, if you get one of these things, if you got this urge to speak," and this one I didn't hear anything. I just had an urge to speak. They didn't communicate to me, but I had a message. So all of a sudden she comes by, and I said to her, "I don't know if you're going to believe me or not, and you might think I'm going to be a complete whack job, and you're going to probably boot me out the plane without a parachute, but I got something to say to you. Somebody wants me to tell you something." And so I told her, "He loves you very much, and he's so very, very sorry about what happened at the end. He's so very, very sorry, and he can't forgive himself, but he wants you to know that he loves you. He wants you to know that he loves you, and he has another message for you. There is money, and you've got to tell your son," and I don't quite remember the exact message, but tell your son that he loves him, and that there is money to be found. You've got to find the money. There is money there for you put aside. Well, she took one look at me. Her face was like, "Liz." She turned around and she stormed off, just stormed off. So I thought, okay, you've done it this time, Kelly. Way to go. So I kind of had my head down, and I was definitely drinking that glass of champagne. And then all the flight attendants were walking by looking at me. They were doing one of this. They were looking at me one at a time. They were looking at me until finally a flight attendant came down and sat down next to me. And I looked at her, kind of like, "Oh, great, now what?" And she said to me, "I want to thank you." I said, "What for?" She said, "The woman you spoke to, her husband just died a week ago. And they had having a problem in their marriage. And it was ugly, very ugly. And she had great remorse and sadness. You gave her peace, and I really want to thank you for that."
That's back to the closure thing. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was. She came out and sat with me. The thing that I find troublesome, sometimes they only come to me that one time and never again. And when you have someone who has passed and the other person is still grieving, they're just, and I understand so much, they're desperate for more information.
Yeah.
They're still clinging to that loved one, and she was, and he did stay around for a little bit, not longer, much longer, and I had a few more messages and words, but then it was it. And I suspect if I practice with my gift, I'd be able to do more with it, but that's truly kind of where it stops. I think it's just to bring peace and to both parties. To him, he was having an affair and he was sorry. He wanted to say sorry to the wife, and so he was able to resolve his problems. And I feel very blessed that I can help him, and blessed that I could help this woman as well.
It was like the conversation about your mother. You both got closure. And a lot of times that's what needs to be said. Yeah, I had been with people who had passed on, and they said, please tell my wife this, please tell my husband this, please tell my kids this. And it's difficult. It's difficult because they didn't, I didn't walk out the door and say this. I didn't walk out the door and say, I love you. Right. I didn't say to my kids, I'm proud of you. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So those that pass on, especially unexpectedly, don't always get the opportunity to get closure as well and move on.
None.
Yeah, and I think, and I hear and I understand that, a lot of times that keeps people here. It doesn't allow them to go to the light. It doesn't now allow them to move up, from that point, because they have unfinished business. They need to be able to say that. They need to be able to get closure on their side as well.
And I never thought of it that way too. But it's so true. It definitely is so true. And it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. I can't imagine going a lifetime with unfinished business like that on a soul level, on a heart level. You carry that, I call it a heart wall, where the energy, that sense of sorrow or loss gets trapped and locked inside the heart. Your heart is an amazing organ. It does more than just beat blood and plump blood through your body. It's responsible for, how shall I say this? Your heart, there's a little brain in your heart, and that little brain in your heart, it sends messages to your brain for your body to carry out functions, and it responds to emotion, and you can learn to how do I say this, change the rhythm of your heart from a chaotic heartbeat to a beautiful soft sine wave, which is, when you're in that state, it's where all transformation can take place and all manifestation, and where you truly become one with the universe, one with your environment. You are just this pulsating human being and a receptor to everything that the world has to offer. It's beautiful.
I think we all have the opportunity to do that. It's the whole reason I started One More Thing Before You Go, and I've said this before on this program. The reason I started One More Thing Before You Go, it's always been in the back of my mind, because I never got to say goodbye to my father. My father never got to say goodbye to me. I didn't get to say goodbye to my mother. She passed on and unexpectedly, and I didn't hear about it until I called the hospital and they said, I'm sorry, but your mother's passed, kind of a situation. So I never got to say what I wanted to say. That's where One More Thing Before You Go originated from. That's where it was born from, deep down inside, because I carried that with me for so long. It's one of those things.
I'm so sorry I interrupt you. I just wanted to say that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful that I'm sorry that you had this situation, that you had your parents passing and you couldn't say goodbye or do some clearing. But through sadness and through tragedy, look at how many people around the world you're helping by having this podcast.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very grateful for this, this opportunity for this podcast, because I've been able to reach people from all over the world, and I've been able to have conversations with people all over the world. And, it's given many individuals the opportunity to get closure, or a methodology for them to get closure. If they didn't actually get it on the show, it gave them a doorway or a pathway in order to get closure, like how to communicate with somebody from the other side, how to write a letter, and you get to say what you want to say that you didn't get to say, so that you get that down in writing, and know that they're listening. That somebody's there listening for that and waiting for that. Where before they didn't think that they could get that opportunity. So, yeah, I'm very grateful for this opportunity that I've got.
Just gave me goosebumps, AKA God bumps, and you're saying that. It's amazing.
Well,
you're amazing. You're amazing.
I have a mission in life, my purpose in life, and my purpose. I was a police officer for so long, and I had to reinvent my life after I left the police department because of what happened to me. In regard to that, it forced me to evaluate what purpose I have in life again. And my daughter actually turned me on to podcasting, and I thought, this is my new purpose, and I like this purpose, and I'm happy with this purpose, and I've really enjoyed what I've been able to do. And when I say enjoy, some people may listen to some of my episodes and go, how did you enjoy that? But in reality, I give a voice to people that didn't have a voice before. So for me, I enjoy that because I gave somebody the opportunity with that voice, and they were able to get out what they wanted to say, which is like, a really cool thing.
I never thought of it that way. That was so well said. It's beautiful. That's so amazing. You give a voice to people who can't be heard. Well, they can. Some people can hear.
Have to listen. But this show's about you. So let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk about how when you first started, again, late in life, you had. When I say late in life, it's because before you really recognized that you could talk to people from the other side. It wasn't as a child. Like a lot of people I speak with, they say, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I used to talk to ghosts. And when I was a kid, I used to talk to spirits. There was somebody in the room all the time. Or, I talked to my grandmother, I talked to my grandfather. But your first experience, it was later in life.
Yes, that I can remember, 33. Maybe as a child, I had some experiences. I told you I saw something, green eyes looking through the window when I was 3 years old. I was so scared by that. I asked my parents to move me down to the bottom bunk bed, to take the bunk bed to the other side. But yeah, no, I was 33. I would have been 31, 32 when it first started.
So last year.
I love you, Michael.
So it's since you've discovered this new gift, not necessarily a new gift, but since you discovered your gift and the fact that you have this opportunity, have you opened yourself up more to listening to who's around you and what's around you, or do they just come randomly? I mean, I know you some of the stuff that you had sent to me previous our conversation in regard, you said, like, I think, obviously we talked about the plane, obviously you talked about the funeral home, but, said they'd come to you in a hardware store or, on the street or something. So does it just come randomly?
It comes random. It comes randomly. When it comes to really when it's important, when somebody has something really, really important to say to someone. So you mentioned at the top of the show, in a hardware store. So I was walking around like I don't know if we're allowed to plug. And it was a hardware store. Being a show host on a shopping channel, we're not allowed to say brand names. So walking around a hardware store, and all of a sudden it's like I looked at this man, I went, okay, here it goes again. I walked up to the man and I just said, you had a brother that just died. The guy looked at me and I said to him, he wants you, you'll know that it's him because he wants you to remember the goat. Where this stuff comes from, because it's not coming from me. It just was what's in my mind. And so the guy looked at me and he went,
I think they bring something that somebody's going to recognize, so they know that you're not just a wacko walking up and talking to this person going, hey,
Well, it worked. And he was, and I finished it off by saying, he wants me to tell you that he forgives you and he loves you. The guy just looked at me, turned around and walked out, walked out the door. Just speaking about signs, so my here's another great story. I guess I want to share these stories with you because I want you to believe. I know you're a believer because you're watching this right now, this program, or listening to this program right now. But this is real and it's all around us. And what Michael said earlier is you just have to be aware. It's called expectation. Expect miracles. Expect voices to come to you. Expect people, some of your loved ones that maybe are tracked you down, but are around you. Perhaps if they passed, or it's a message from somewhere, from the heavens above. It does happen. Now, speaking of signs, okay. So my auntie raised me because I did not have a very. My mom and I weren't very close, so she was my surrogate mom. And she was quite a bit older than me. And we had a pact with each other. Whoever goes first, they got to come back and tell the other person that they're okay. So we came up with a code. Now, we also changed this code like 20 times. So at the end of the day, I didn't know what the code was. I had no idea what the code was. However, my auntie was a devout atheist. She just couldn't believe that a God would allow her to go through so much trauma in her life. Okay, because her and I would talk about God, and I'm a believer, and I would just talk to her about it. She goes, nope, I don't believe. So my aunt has passed. And I'm waiting for her. And on the third day, she came to me, and she's like, hi, Kel. Because that's how my aunt would say hello to me. And I'm thinking, code, what's the code? Oh my gosh, what's the code? I can't remember the code. And then she said to me, do you want to know a secret? And I went, yeah, what is it? She goes, there is a God. Oh no, but that wasn't what. But let me go back a second. The first thing she said is, are you okay? No. Oh my gosh, I'm getting all this story all conglomerated. But let me just get to the point here. And the point is, we had a code. I forgot what the code was, but she came back to me and said to me before she went up to heaven, guess what? There is a God. And she went up. And that's all there is to it. And that was the code. That's all I needed to know. I knew that was my aunt, because why in the world would she say there was a God when if it wasn't her, in her passing, God came to her. And obviously she accepted God into her life because she saw him, obviously. And that's why she knew there was a God. And she came back to tell me that there was a God. And with that, I knew that was her, and that she left. It was time for her to go.
Yeah, that's really interesting. My father-in-law, my wife's father, we took care of him before he passed. He had Lewy body dementia, and he passed in the house here. We took care of him, and he was pretty much atheist. He said, do you know what's going to happen when you die? And his answer was, it's going to be black. There's just nothing, black, and so forth. And ironically enough, after he passed, I was on an interview with an individual that said, I have a message for your wife, if she's available. We did this after the show ended, so it wasn't on air. And she said, she's like, can your wife come in here for a minute? And she said, start talking about and describing David. And it's like stuff she wouldn't have known because we didn't talk about David. And unique things about David that she would not have known during our conversation. And Diane came in, and I said, she introduced my wife, and I said, she's got something to talk to you about. And David was Scottish, and he was deeply Scottish, and he loved Scotch. Okay, so it's one of those things, where he drank a lot of beer, he drank Scotch, and so forth. And every Christmas we'd get him a different Scotch. That was his thing. So the only thing he said was he was there with his grandparents, who were his favorite people. He didn't get along with his father at all, but he got along with his grandfather. And so his grandfather was there, and his grandmother was there, and his aunt was there, and said that the thing they didn't tell me was it's not dark, but there's no booze here. So he goes, there's no Scotch here. So Diane said, okay, well, That's my
That's
sign.
it. My
But
gosh.
she obviously brought her to tears a little bit, and she really was touched by the fact of that, and the fact that he said it's not dark, but there's no booze. It was kind of, it's like, okay, they're here, and it's not dark, but there's no booze, and I says, okay, now he's a believer.
That's beautiful. What a
It's kind of
story.
fun.
What did your wife think?
Well, obviously, I said she brought her to tears a little bit, and
Yeah.
at first she kind of knowing I mean, we believe in the other side, and we've had conversations about that in the past in regard to that. So obviously, with Debbie was the person's name. When Debbie started talking to her, she believed it because the things that she was saying described her father perfectly. There were more than just that little section there. But the stuff she was talking about were completely perfect. And she said that, he said, I'm sorry that I wasn't there. Long story short, this one of my long stories. Basically, Diane stayed here with him. Her mother and her stepfather came down here with us, and we all convinced, including David, convinced her to go out with her mother and go shopping and just kind of get away and relax
Right.
a little bit. And soon as probably within 15 minutes after them leaving is when he passed, because he didn't want her to see that, and things like that. So, he kind of brought that up and said, I just didn't want you to see it, and I didn't want you to be there, and this kind of a thing. So, it were things that Debbie said that obviously made sense to her in regard to the fact that that Debbie and I had not talked about, and that nobody would know except for David and Diane. So it it worked. She was very happy to get that message, and it helped her feel a little bit better about things.
It's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it
Really.
is. Yeah, I mean, it's you always wonder. Like I said earlier, when I was talking to you, the gift that you have is something that's really, it's a gift, and the gift, it gives people closure. When everybody, when you lose somebody, has closure. Did they suffer? Were they in pain? Is there another side? Did they go to heaven? Did they go to hell? Are they okay? What are they doing on the other side? There's so many questions we as human beings want to answer. And reality is you and I both know that through all the different religions,
Itchy
all
nose.
see,
Itchy nose.
we're talking about that. See, and that they're tickling your nose.
They're
The-
well, what I got to interject that obviously that's probably what it is. Hold on, I gotta scratch my nose again. Hold on. Hello, yes. Oh God, okay, got my nose. Okay, here's another story for you. So I worked with some major celebrities, Joan Rivers and Ivana Trump, and Joan Rivers passed. Now, Joan never came to me when she passed. About 5 years, I would say maybe 3 years later, I am sitting in my office and I'm typing away, and all of a sudden it's like she goes, Kellie. She's like, oh my, just right in my brain, and I'm like, hey Joan, how you doing? She goes, I got to tell you, I killed it down there when I was on the earth. She says, but I am killing it up here. They love me. You should see the crowds. They're huge. And then she said, do me a favor. You got to her daughter is named Melissa. She goes, tell Melissa that I'm having a hell of a good time up here and that everything is okay.
oh, that's funny.
That was that I actually reached out to Melissa, like I said I would do. This just happened quite recently, maybe 6 months ago. I sent an email to Melissa. I said, you don't need to call me back. You don't need to email me back. I don't know Melissa. I didn't know her daughter, so I don't know what her belief system was. I said, I don't know if you believe in this or not, but I'm here to, this is, your mom came to me. And I told her that people come to me, and I made the promise to myself that if I got a message that I would pass it on. I said, so I'm passing this on to you. I told her the same story. I said, I hope, what did I say? Blessings to you. I hope that this heals some part of your heart. Much love, Kellie. That was it.
This works. That's very, talking about the crowds up there, as many people as we've lost lately, as many legends as that we have lost. So that's a hell of a reunion that's going on up there right now. When you think about it, between Betty White and everybody, all these people that we've been losing lately, it's just been kind of crazy.
Sidney Poitier.
Yeah. All these legends have just kind of disappeared. And
well, they just don't want to stick around here anymore.
Well, today's society is kind of a rough road the last few years. So
it's I don't know what to say about it. I really don't. Is this there is this thought of demons. Do you believe in demons on the earth?
I do believe in demons.
Okay, good to know. Okay, and they're real. They are real, and there is a battle that is going on, and you can win the battle. The word they get you in the brain. Like another quick story. I had a deliverance done. I went to a healing room in Laguna Beach, San Clemente, California. Long story short, when I left this healing, I felt right here, there was a chunk. As soon as I left, it felt that there was a piece of my brain missing. There was an empty hole in my brain. And that was the demons were extracted. And it was really another turning point in my life, because I would have the chatter in my brain. Do you remember Flip Wilson?
I do.
Flip Wilson? The devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. It whispered in my ear. So, they like to, well, they really come after the ones that really are believers and have a great spiritual connection. They want to, in my opinion, they want to grab them, take them from the fold, and bring them to the other side. But you can beat them. So anyway.
Nope, I do believe in those. We should have another conversation down the road. I've got some stories that we could share. Both of us can share in regard to demon experiences. Had a very interesting conversation with Laura Powers. She's a celebrity psychic and medium. And while we were in the middle of discussing some things, in fact, I put it up on air as an additional episode on the podcast. I don't know what number it is of my podcast. I'm sorry. Your number, like 156. So I don't remember which one, but we had technical issues and technical problems. And the technical issues and problems, while we were talking about dark angels and demons and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
And you could hear
they
a growl.
Don't want the message.
Yeah, you could hear a growl, literally hear a growl over my shoulder and so forth, while we were doing the technical issues that were showing up, but you could clearly hear it. And I put it up on the air. So I'll have to put that in the show note. Don't forget to check out this episode for the growl. But yeah, very, very interesting. So yeah, we'll have to have another conversation with regard to that.
I love that.
Listen, it's been wonderful sharing all your stories and everything and so forth. I think that what you have is a very valuable gift that you give to individuals. I hope that you continue to nurture that. I think that opening the door to helping people get closure and to move forward in life is a very positive thing. I'm glad that you were able to recognize that and allow things to kind of come to you with regard to that. Have you ever like sat? How do I answer this? How do I ask this? I've talked to other mediums. I've talked throughout my podcast career, so to speak, with regard to that. Some of them just like take the time and they'll sit and think and they'll sit and make a session. They'll say, okay, I'm going to sit here today and this is what I'm open to. And so forth. Do you do that, or do you just wait till somebody comes and talks to you?
If this were my job, if I was a psychic, or if that was my true profession, I probably would spend more time in that place. I did have, I've helped people who would like to speak to someone from the other side. And in one situation, I don't know if this is, they spoke through me, but it took me, it left me how do I say this? It didn't want to leave, which was,
They
it
didn't
took
want to
me a
leave,
while.
or,
He didn't want to
or he
leave.
didn't want to leave.
He was, yeah, he liked talking to his family, but he got closure and was for his kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so the interesting thing is, the child, I won't mention any names, but the child said, you're not Kellie. And who am I? You're my dad. So it was pretty bizarre that he could feel his dad. So to answer that question, I know if I open myself up to this, it would be happening a lot. But I do have another business that I run that takes most all of my focus. And I know when I'm in business mode,
You close that door.
I don't consciously close it. I think it just so energetically. But I still get messages in my dreams and conversations that happen. So that pathway is still open. I have never shut it down. Never, ever, ever. It's something that is really important to me and part of who I am. It's
Right.
made me who I am, and it's a blessing. It's important.
Well,
So
and I appreciate that. And because of that, I think let's talk a little bit about your other business. And this business, again, you teach women around the world to feel young
Better.
and to better and to their self-esteem, to improve their lives in a very positive manner, in a positive way.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about
Yes.
that so we can help people understand. You come from different arenas, not only from the other side, you're doing it on this side.
Everything starts from within. Beauty is an inside job, and really it starts with how you feel about yourself. Do you love yourself? Are you in a love-hate relationship with yourself? Do you have nagging, limiting beliefs that are holding you back, that just prevents you from really getting whatever it is that you want in your life? And what I have discovered, that if you can work from the inside and peel back the layers, and again, for me, it starts, and what I teach my clients is starting from your limiting beliefs. What is it that's holding you back? Identifying them, replacing it with a life thriving belief, and then tools. I have tools that I ask my gals to put into place to reinforce these new life thriving beliefs, to help them to get what they want, whatever that might be, whether it's a pair of shoes or whether it's a brand new home or going on vacation or a new husband. See, a lot of people, or losing weight. You know, I have some of my clients, they just say they're too old to find a husband, or they're not good enough. They're not good enough to find a husband. So these things are just preventing them from being happy. And at the end of the day, isn't truly that what we want? Peace and happiness. So along with this inside support, then I provide tools for the outside. Now, one thing I'll tell you is, when you work on the inside and you start loving yourself, like valuing yourself and taking time to be good to yourself, that's what I call self-care. You know, like taking a bubble bath and just feeling the water, you know, as you're sitting in the tub, without thinking of the bills, without thinking of hubby, you're thinking only about you. That's self-care. And that's the language that your subconscious mind knows and understands. And the more self-care you do, the more your subconscious mind starts letting go of some of the other stuff and starts recognizing that you value yourself enough. So your life starts to change from the inside. And as it changes, the shape of your face changes. It really does. Your bone structure starts to change. There's a softness in your face, a softness, a change in your demeanor. It's quite remarkable to see this happen. But as women, ladies, let's just, I believe that we don't, chronologically, yes, we get older, but I believe that we can grow younger each and every day. We don't have to age like our grandparents do. We can use great skincare, which mine is really great, and it works. And it actually retexturizes the surface of your skin, and it tightens your skin, and it makes collagen. So as you grow younger from the inside, so does the rest of your body from the outside. So you have this beautiful union of the inside and the outside.
And how do we find you?
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Go to www.kellieolver.com. You can email me at Kellie, Kellie, at kellieolver.com. And that's my direct email, by the way, just for you. That's how you can get in touch with me. Or you can get in touch with me through Michael.
And I'll make sure
he's got my number.
I've got your number.
Number?
I do. I have your number. And I'll have all that stuff in the show notes as well for everybody, so that the ones that are not watching this on YouTube on the YouTube channel can absolutely get in touch with you either one way or the other. Kellie, thank you very much for sharing your journeys with me and for your unique gift that you're bringing to the world. This is one more thing before you go. So before we go, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Believe. Just believe. Everything is possible. And that's meaning everything from above as well as everything for you. Whatever it is you want, whatever kind of life you want, whatever it is possible. And that you've got guides and angels all around you. Your guides are there, and they're giving you tips, and they're giving you information, and they're sending you clues. So be on the lookout. And that's why I say expect miracles, because they do happen. Sometimes we're just not paying attention, or if we see something, we ignore it because we don't think that miracles can happen. They can, and they do. So believe.
That's outstanding words of wisdom. Kellie, thank you very much for joining me on One More Thing Before You Go.
Pardon me?
Thank you for joining me on One More Thing Before You Go.
Oh, okay, yes. You're very, very welcome. And thank you so much, Michael, for inviting me. It has been a pleasure to be on your show today. And I hope I didn't scare anybody with the things that I said.
I hope not. I don't think you did. No, I think you really motivated and inspired people. So let's keep motivating and inspiring.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Because remember, this is the first time I've actually talked about this publicly. I never have, because I didn't know kind of what the feedback would be. So.
And I'm very, very, very honored for that. So I think that you'll find that this audience is very receptive to what you have to say.
Excellent. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Thank you so very, very much, Michael.
Thank you very much for joining us on this conversation. I really appreciate you all. Don't forget to go to the App Store, the Google Play Store, and download our free app, One More Thing Before You Go podcast, where you can hold and have unique access to everything One More Thing Before You Go, developed and provided by Superpass, our sponsor. If you love us as much as we do, please support us. We have merchandise that is available. It's unique to One More Thing Before You Go. It's inspiring, motivational, and can tell someone what you wanted to say. We are going to have an exciting season the rest of this year. So please subscribe and follow us on the favorite platform that you listen to and or here on YouTube. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life. If you like our show and want to know more, check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. That's beforeyougopodcast.com. Tell your story, share your expertise, contribute to the blog, and subscribe to the newsletter. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.
And one more thing before you go. Have a nice day, have a nice week, and thanks for listening.
One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life podcast, is a creation of One More Thing Productions, established 2010, all rights reserved.